When a person lives in your mind but not in your world, it creates a weight you cannot see, yet you feel it in every step you take. Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake. The surface looks calm, but beneath it 1,000 thoughts move like restless fish. This is what happens when someone occupies your head but not your life. You are giving them a space they did not earn, a room with no rent, a key without responsibility. It is easy to mistake constant thinking for connection. The mind is powerful, and it clings to memories, stories, and possibilities. But remember, this thinking of someone does not bind them to you. It binds you to them. Your energy flows where your attention goes. If you allow a shadow to take form inside your mind, it will grow until it feels more real than the life standing before you. You are not meant to live in shadows. You are meant to live in presence. So take a breath, feel the air enter your lungs, become aware of this very moment. This is real. The chair you sit on, the sound you hear, the rhythm of your heartbeat, all of this is alive. The person you keep inside your mind may be only an image, a memory, or an expectation. The mind builds illusions. The body and soul want reality. When someone is not in your life, it means there is a reason. Their chapter ended. Their path diverged. Their role was complete. This does not mean you are less. This does not mean you have failed. It means your story is still unfolding, and new people, new experiences, and new lessons are waiting to arrive. You cannot open your hands to receive the new if they are still clenched around the old. Detach gently. Do not fight your thoughts. Watch them like clouds moving through the sky. Allow them to drift. When a memory appears, acknowledge it and release it. When a longing rises, breathe and return to the present. With practice, the grip of their image will fade. Your mind will become clear like water. In that clarity, you will see your own reflection again. When you realize that someone is living in your mind, but not in your life, it is the first signal that your inner space needs attention. This recognition is not weakness, it is strength. It is the moment when you stop mistaking your thoughts for reality and start seeing clearly. Often we give our mental and emotional energy away without even noticing. We replay conversations that happened long ago. We imagine scenarios that may never occur. We build whole stories in our minds about people who are no longer standing next to us. And yet, our hearts keep feeding this space as if it is still alive. Recognizing this is the first step to reclaiming your freedom. It is like waking up from a dream and realizing you are safe in your bed. When you see that someone only exists in your head, you can begin to draw back the energy you have been giving away. Energy is life force. Wherever it flows, growth happens. If you constantly water a plant, it will grow. If you constantly water a memory, it will grow too. But unlike a plant, a memory does not feed you. It feeds on you. This is why your awareness is so important. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates freedom. Freedom creates strength. By recognizing that someone lives only in your thoughts, you begin to cut the invisible cords tying you to a shadow. It is also important to see that this is not about blame. The person who is in your head may have once been part of your life. They may have given you joy, lessons, or even pain, but they have stepped away. They have taken their path. You are here now, living your life. Recognition does not mean erasing them or denying what they were. It means accepting what is true today. It means standing firmly in the present instead of floating in the past or leaning into the future. Once you acknowledge this, your mind becomes clearer. You begin to see how much space has been taken up by someone who is not physically present. You see how your daily focus, your moods, and even your self-worth can be influenced by a ghost of your own making. This is the point where you decide to choose yourself. You choose your peace over their memory. You choose your future over your past. You choose your life over your imagination. This choice is not made once. It is made again and again, moment by moment, until it becomes your natural state. As you reclaim your focus, You start to feel lighter. You begin to notice the small joys in your day again. The sunlight feels warmer. Your breath feels deeper. The sound of the world comes back into focus. This is because your mind is no longer cluttered with constant thoughts of someone who is not here. You become present. And in presence, healing takes place. In presence, strength grows. In presence, you discover yourself again. You may also notice that when you reclaim your energy, your creativity increases. Your body feels stronger. Your motivation rises. All of this is the result of taking back what was always yours. You are no longer leaking energy into a mental space that does not serve you. Instead, you invest that energy into your own growth. You begin to write your own story without waiting for someone else to appear in it. You start living for yourself, not for an illusion. This process requires patience. You cannot force your mind to stop thinking overnight. But you can guide it. You can breathe deeply when thoughts arise. You can remind yourself gently that they are not here, and that your life is still rich and whole without them. With practice, the thoughts lose their grip. The energy you once gave away returns to you like a river flowing back to its source. And as it does, you feel more alive, more balanced, and more at peace. Recognizing that someone lives in your head, but not your life, is not just awareness. It is an invitation. It invites you to step fully into your own power. It invites you to open your eyes to the present moment. It invites you to reclaim your focus, your time, your heart. And when you accept that invitation, you open the door to a life that is real, grounded, and filled with possibilities waiting for you to notice them. This is how you begin to walk forward. This is how you start to be free. Thoughts are powerful. They shape the way you see yourself, the world, and the people around you. When you think about someone often, it can feel as though they are still present, even when they are not. This is the trap of the mind, believing that thinking about someone creates a connection with them. In reality, it is not a connection at all. It is a reflection of where your energy flows. Understanding this truth gives you back control over your inner life. The more you allow someone to occupy your mental space, the more power you give them without their awareness, without their effort, without their presence. Seeing this clearly is the beginning of reclaiming your strength. When you notice your thoughts drifting to a person who is not in your life, pause and ask yourself why. Are you holding on to a memory? Are you seeking closure that never came? Are you imagining a future that is not real? These questions are not meant to shame you but to bring clarity. Because once you see that thoughts do not equal connection, you can redirect them. You can say to yourself, this is my mind, this is my energy, and I choose where it goes. This moment of awareness acts like a switch, shifting you from passive thinking to intentional living. Every time you invest mental space in someone who is absent, you are in effect feeding a shadow. The shadow becomes larger, darker, more consuming. But it is still only a shadow. No matter how many times you replay old conversations, they will not change. No matter how many times you imagine their return, it does not bring them closer. All it does is deepen your attachment to something that does not exist in the present moment. When you grasp this, you free yourself from the cycle. You see that the person is not here, and yet you are breathing, moving, grieving, and capable of creating a life that does not depend on them. Redirecting your energy begins with the smallest steps. Instead of replaying an old memory, you focus on the present task. Instead of imagining their voice, you listen to the sounds around you. Instead of losing hours to thoughts of them, you use that time to build something for yourself, learn something new, or simply rest in stillness. This is how you slowly break the illusion of connection created by thought. You do not fight the mind, you guide it back, gently. Each time it wanders. Over time, this builds a discipline, a quiet inner strength, and a sense of freedom. Understanding that thoughts do not equal connection also protects your sense of self. It reminds you that your worth is not determined by who thinks of you, nor by who you think about. Your worth is constant, whole, and independent of any person's presence. When you allow someone to live in your mind, without their actual presence in your life, you risk defining yourself through their absence. But when you reclaim that mental space, you define yourself through your own presence. You stop being a reflection of someone else and start being a full expression of who you are. It is also a lesson in emotional responsibility. No one can control what enters your mind completely, but you can choose what stays. Just as you would not allow a stranger to live rent-free in your home. You should not allow thoughts of someone to dominate your inner world without your permission. This is not about erasing memories or suppressing feelings. It is about acknowledging them and then choosing where to place your focus. Each time you do, you strengthen your ability to live in the now and invest in what is real. This understanding creates a shift in your relationships as well. It shows you how to give without losing yourself, how to love without becoming dependent, and how to let go without bitterness. It teaches you that real connection is built through presence, action, and mutual investment, not through silent thoughts and unspoken wishes. When you see this clearly, you become free to build healthier connections and to welcome new people and opportunities into your life without carrying the weight of the past. Knowing that thoughts about someone do not equal connection allows you to step back into your own life with clarity and strength. It gives you the power to reclaim your energy and place it where it can grow something real. It helps you build an inner life that is calm, steady, and rooted in the present. And in this calmness, you discover not only freedom, but also the strength to walk forward without hesitation. This is the quiet power that begins to rise when you understand that your thoughts are yours alone, and that you decide where they go. Accepting that someone's absence in your reality signals the end of a chapter and the start of your own growth journey can feel like both a loss and a relief at the same time. The mind often resists endings because it prefers the known, even when the known is painful or incomplete. But every ending carries within it a seed of transformation. When you acknowledge that their role in your life has closed, you also create the space for your own unfolding to begin. This is not an act of forgetting. It is an act of embracing what is true. It is an act of seeing life not as a straight line, but as a series of seasons. Some people belong to one season. Others stay for several. But you cannot force a winter tree to bloom in summer. When you accept this truth, you stop fighting reality. You stop replaying old possibilities and stop trying to bend the present into what it once was. This is where the power of surrender enters. Surrender is not defeat. It is recognition. It is the awareness that someone's absence is not a punishment. It is a sign of life moving, of paths changing, of growth happening where you may not yet see it. This acceptance allows you to reclaim your energy because you no longer spend it on trying to reopen a closed door. Instead, you begin to look around at the open doors waiting for you. Their absence also gives you the opportunity to reflect on yourself. It asks you to see who you are without their influence, without their presence, without their validation. This reflection is not always easy. It can bring up loneliness or uncertainty, but it also brings clarity. It shows you what you truly value, what you truly want, and what you can build for yourself. This is the beginning of your growth journey, because growth never happens in comfort. It happens when you step out of familiar patterns and learn to stand on your own strength. As you step into this growth, you may begin to notice subtle shifts. Your priorities change, your habits adjust, your emotional balance stabilizes. You may even find that the things which once felt impossible now seem within reach. This is because your energy, once tied up in someone who is not present, is now available to you. You are no longer trying to hold together a connection that only existed in your mind. Instead, you are investing in yourself, nurturing your own development, and building a life that feels authentic and grounded. Accepting their absence does not mean you stop caring or that what you shared loses meaning. It means you respect the natural flow of life. It means you understand that growth sometimes requires letting go. It means you trust that endings are not empty spaces, but fertile ground for something new to rise. The pain you may feel is simply the old making room for the new. And as you move through that pain with patience and self-compassion, it softens. It becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. This acceptance also opens you to new possibilities. When you cling to someone who is gone, you close yourself off to the people and experiences waiting to enter your life. But when you let go, you create a vacuum, and nature does not like a vacuum. Life rushes in to fill it. New friendships, new opportunities, and new ways of seeing yourself begin to appear. You may discover talents you never explored or passions you never pursued because your energy was tied to the past. Now, freed from that tie, you can explore fully without hesitation. Growth also means learning to trust your own path. Even when you do not see the next step clearly, you learn to take it anyway. You begin to understand that your worth and your happiness do not depend on any one person's presence. They depend on your ability to stay present with yourself. This inner steadiness becomes your anchor. It allows you to face uncertainty with courage and to welcome change without fear. This is how you step into the next chapter of your life, not as someone lost, but as someone evolving. When you accept that their absence signals an ending, you are also accepting that your life is not stuck. It is moving. It is alive. It is open to new directions. In that openness, you become more than you were before. You become the author of your own story, shaping it with your choices, your focus, and your intention. This is the quiet power of acceptance. It transforms loss into possibility and endings into beginnings. This is how you grow into the next version of yourself and keep walking forward with purpose. Redirecting your attention from illusions to the present moment to regain clarity and strength is not just a mental exercise. It is a practice of self-liberation. The mind can be a powerful creator of stories, weaving images of people, moments, and possibilities that may no longer exist. When someone is no longer in your life, but still appears in your thoughts, you are essentially living inside an illusion created by memory and imagination. This illusion feels real because the emotions attached to it are real, but the experience itself is no longer happening. By consciously choosing to turn your focus away from these mental images and into the present moment, you reclaim the energy that has been scattered and begin to build your inner clarity. The present moment is the only space where life actually exists. Yet most of the time the mind is somewhere else, replaying the past or projecting into the future. When you recognize that you are thinking about someone who is not here, you have already taken the first step toward freedom. That recognition allows you to stop, breathe, and bring your awareness back to now. You notice your surroundings, your body, the air moving in and out of your lungs. This is not a trivial act. It is a reset, a way of stepping out of mental noise and into what is real. In that instant, illusions lose their grip. This practice of returning to the present moment strengthens you because it cuts off the constant flow of energy into something that cannot give back. When you think about someone endlessly, you feed a cycle of longing and frustration. When you bring your attention back to now, you interrupt that cycle. Your energy stays with you. Your mind becomes clearer. Your emotions become steadier. Over time, this creates a foundation of inner calm and strength that no one else can take from you. Redirecting your attention also reveals how much beauty and possibility you have been missing. When you are trapped in illusions of someone not present, you overlook the small details of your own life. You may miss the warmth of a sunrise, the sound of a friend's laughter, or the quiet satisfaction of finishing a task. By turning your focus to the present, you open your eyes to these moments. You begin to see that your life, even without that person, is full and rich. This recognition fills the space that illusions once occupied and brings you back to gratitude. This process requires patience and gentleness with yourself. The mind has habits, and if you have spent weeks or months thinking about someone, the habit will not disappear instantly. Instead of fighting your thoughts, observe them. When you catch your mind drifting, simply guide it back to your breath, your body, or the task at hand. With each return, you strengthen your ability to stay present. Over time, the grip of illusions weakens, and your sense of self grows stronger. You may also discover that in the present moment there is no pain. Pain arises from memory or anticipation. In the now, there is only sensation. By resting in the present, even for a few moments, you create space for healing. The body relaxes, the mind softens. You begin to experience peace that does not depend on anyone else's presence or absence. This is a deep source of power because it is entirely within you. As you practice redirecting your attention, your self-trust increases. You begin to see that you do not have to be at the mercy of your thoughts. You have a choice. You can choose where your focus goes. This choice is what gives you freedom. Freedom to create, to move forward, to invest in yourself and your future. This is not about denying the past or suppressing your feelings. It is about honoring them while refusing to let them define your present. Over time, the clarity you gain from focusing on the present moment begins to change everything. Decisions become easier. Relationships become healthier. Your sense of direction strengthens. You stop living in reaction to old memories and start living from intention. This shift is subtle at first, but profound in its effects. It turns you from someone lost in thought into someone fully alive in the moment. Redirecting your attention from illusions to the present moment is an act of self-respect. It tells your mind and heart that your life deserves your presence. It says you are ready to see clearly, to stand firmly, and to live deeply. When you do this consistently, the shadows of the past fade, and you walk forward with a lighter step, a clearer mind, and a stronger spirit. This is how you reclaim clarity and strength and allow life to unfold where it truly exists. Here and now, using self-discipline and awareness to release mental attachment and open space for new experiences is a quiet but powerful act. Most of the time, we do not even realize how much of our inner energy we are giving to someone who is no longer in our life. Our minds cling because it feels familiar. It feels safe, even if it hurts. Self-discipline becomes the bridge between knowing you should let go and actually doing it. It is not about harshness or force. It is about consistent, gentle practice. Awareness is the light that shows you where your attention has been trapped. Discipline is the movement that guides it back to where it belongs, with you. The first step is awareness. Without awareness, you remain on autopilot, replaying memories, thinking of what could have been, and imagining futures that may never arrive. Awareness means catching yourself in the act of wandering. It is the moment you notice, I am thinking about him again. That small recognition matters. It interrupts the pattern. It allows you to breathe, pause, and decide where your focus should go. Awareness turns unconscious behavior into conscious choice. Once you are aware, self-discipline gives you the ability to act on that awareness. Discipline is not about punishing yourself for slipping back into old thoughts. It is about guiding yourself back every time you drift. Just as you would train a muscle by repeated movement, you train your attention by repeatedly bringing it home. This takes time and practice, but each time you do it, you weaken the hold of the mental attachment. Your mind starts to learn that it is safe to let go, that it can live in the present without clinging to someone absent. With consistent discipline and awareness, You begin to notice space opening inside you. Space that used to be filled with longing or regret now feels clear and quiet. In this quiet space, you find yourself again. You discover hobbies, passions, and people you had overlooked because your energy was elsewhere. You may find that your creativity blooms, your physical energy increases, and your relationships become deeper because you are no longer divided between the present and a memory. This process also teaches you self-respect. Each time you choose to bring your attention back, you are telling yourself, my peace matters. My time matters. My life matters. You are no longer handing over your mental space to someone who is not there to share it with you. This builds a strong sense of inner worth. It teaches you that your mind and your heart are your own territory, and you decide who and what lives there. Releasing mental attachment does not mean erasing memories or pretending the person never existed. It means loosening the grip they have on your present. It means letting them become a chapter in your story, rather than the whole book. This is a natural part of growth. As you grow, old attachments fall away, and new experiences come to take their place. By holding on, you keep your hands closed. By releasing, you open them and invite life to fill them with something fresh and real. There will be days when your mind pulls you back to old patterns. This is normal. On those days, awareness and discipline are even more important. You breathe. You acknowledge the thought. You do not judge yourself. You simply bring your attention back again and again, like training a wayward child to walk in the right direction. Slowly, the path becomes smoother. Slowly, your thoughts lose their power over you. As your mental space becomes clearer, your sense of possibility grows. New experiences begin to flow toward you because you are no longer blocking them with old attachments. You meet people who bring new energy. You explore paths you once ignored. You live in the present with more vibrancy. This is the reward of using self-discipline and awareness. Not just freedom from the past, but freedom to embrace the future fully. Through this practice, you begin to understand that your life is not defined by who stays or who leaves, but by how you hold yourself in each moment. You learn that letting go is not losing but making room. You learn that self-discipline is not restriction but liberation. And you learn that awareness is the key to both healing and growth. This is how you transform attachment into openness and create a life that is alive, grounded, and full of new possibilities waiting for you to step into them. Embracing your own worth so external validation or presence is no longer the center of your peace is one of the most liberating steps you can take. When someone has lived in your mind but not in your life, it often reveals a hidden pattern. You may have unconsciously tied your sense of value to their attention, their approval, or their imagined return. This creates a cycle where your mood rises and falls according to a person who is not even present. Breaking this pattern begins with realizing that your worth has never depended on anyone else. It has always been yours, whole and complete, waiting for you to recognize it. As long as you look outward for proof of your value, you give your power away. You start believing you need someone's message, call, or presence to feel whole. Yet the truth is that your existence alone is enough. Your uniqueness, your efforts, your heart, your very breath all carry inherent worth. When you begin to embrace this fully, the grip of longing weakens. You no longer feel desperate for someone else's recognition, because you have recognized yourself first. This shift begins with self-awareness. Ask yourself what you are really seeking when you think about someone who is not there. Are you seeking closure, affirmation, a sense of being wanted? These are all natural desires, but they point to a deeper need, the need to feel worthy and significant. When you see this clearly, you can give yourself what you have been waiting for someone else to give. You can begin speaking kindly to yourself, appreciating your strengths, and treating your own needs with respect. This is not arrogance or self-obsession. It is healthy self-regard, the foundation for real peace. As you embrace your own worth, your relationship with your mind changes. The endless thoughts about the absent person begin to fade because they no longer have a hook. Their absence no longer feels like a reflection of your inadequacy. It simply feels like a fact of life. This creates a profound sense of steadiness. You start waking up in the morning without checking mentally for their presence. You start focusing on your own goals and joys. You start building a life that feels solid under your feet. The more you practice valuing yourself, the less you rely on external validation to feel secure. Compliments, attention, and presence from others may still feel good, but they no longer define you. This inner stability changes how you show up in the world. You become more authentic because you are no longer performing to be chosen or noticed. You set healthier boundaries because you respect your time and energy. You make decisions from clarity rather than desperation. This is the natural outcome of placing your peace at the center rather than someone else's opinion. Embracing your own worth also opens a deeper level of self-compassion. You start forgiving yourself for past mistakes and stop measuring yourself by impossible standards. You start nurturing your body, mind, and spirit in ways that affirm your value. This might mean taking up practices like meditation, journaling, or creative expression. It might mean spending more time in nature with supportive friends or in silence. Every choice you make to honor yourself reinforces the truth that your worth is internal and permanent. This process can feel uncomfortable at first. If you have spent years tying your identity to external approval, standing on your own may feel unfamiliar. But discomfort is a sign of growth. Each time you remind yourself, I am enough as I am, you carve a new path in your mind. Each time you choose to stay centered rather than reaching outward for validation, you strengthen your self-trust. This trust becomes your anchor. It allows you to weather loneliness, change, and uncertainty without collapsing. With time, embracing your own worth transforms your relationships as well. You no longer chase people who do not value you because you already value yourself. You attract connections based on mutual respect rather than need. You stop clinging to illusions and start experiencing real presence. This shift does not just improve your inner life, it reshapes your outer life, bringing in experiences and people aligned with your true self. When you embrace your own worth fully, external presence or absence loses its power to disturb your peace. You become rooted in your own being, steady in your own center. You begin to see life as an open field where you can walk freely, choose wisely, and grow deeply without fear of who comes or goes. This is how you move from being controlled by someone in your head to living fully in your own life, guided not by their approval, but by your own quiet strength and self-respect. Turning mental distractions into motivation for self-mastery and a deeper, more grounded life is the final and most transformative step in moving beyond someone who lives in your head, but not in your life. When you recognize how much energy you've been spending on thoughts that go nowhere, you also begin to see how much power is available to you if you redirect it. Every moment spent replaying old conversations or imagining scenarios could instead be invested in your growth, your healing, and your purpose. This is not about repressing or denying the mind. It is about transforming its restless energy into steady strength. The first step is awareness of the distraction. Distraction itself is not a weakness. It is simply energy without direction. When you catch yourself thinking about the person, acknowledge it without judgment. This is the raw material you will reshape. In that moment, you can say to yourself, this energy can be used to build something real. This small shift of perspective turns a source of frustration into a source of fuel. Once you see the distraction as energy, self-mastery becomes the goal. Self-mastery is not about controlling every thought or emotion. It is about guiding them. It is about building a steady inner core that remains calm, even when the mind tries to wander. This is where discipline, consistency, and practice come in. You may start with small rituals, breathing exercises, mindful walks, physical training, or creative expression, and use them as anchors. Each time the mind drifts to old patterns, you bring it back to your practice. Over time, this repeated action strengthens your focus like a muscle. This process deepens your relationship with yourself. Instead of feeling powerless against mental distractions, you begin to trust your ability to redirect them. That trust grows into confidence, and that confidence becomes calmness. You find that your emotional storms pass more quickly. You find that your body holds less tension. You find that you can stay present for longer periods without being pulled back into old loops. This is the essence of self-mastery, not perfection but presence, not control but awareness. As you cultivate self-mastery, your life naturally becomes more grounded. The same energy that once kept you awake at night thinking about someone can now be used to create routines that nourish you. You can channel it into exercise, learning new skills, deepening friendships, or exploring passions you had set aside. These actions root you firmly in the present. They give you tangible progress to focus on instead of intangible illusions. The more you build, the less pull the old distractions have. This transformation also reveals your resilience. You start to see that nothing external can truly destabilize you if your inner world is steady. You no longer fear solitude because you know how to use it to your benefit. You no longer fear endings because you see them as openings. You no longer fear distraction because you know how to convert it into motivation. This resilience becomes visible in your posture, your decisions, your voice, and your daily choices. It becomes the quiet strength others notice, even if you never speak of it. Over time, turning mental distractions into motivation reshapes your identity. You move from being someone who is passively consumed by thoughts to someone who actively channels energy into growth. You stop seeing yourself as a person left behind and start seeing yourself as a person moving forward. This shift changes how you walk through the world. You start taking opportunities you once ignored. You start believing in your ability to build a life that excites you. You stop waiting for someone to return and begin embracing the life already here. This journey towards self-mastery does not mean you stop caring or feeling. It means you stop being ruled by ungrounded thoughts. It means you stop leaking energy and start living with intention. In that space of intention, your creativity, your passion, and your power grow naturally. You discover that the mind which once trapped you can also be your greatest ally when trained and focused. Ultimately, turning distractions into motivation for self-mastery and a deeper life allows you to step into a version of yourself that feels whole, calm, and resilient. You begin to live with a sense of purpose that is not shaken by who is or is not present. You cultivate an inner depth that holds you steady through change. And from that depth, you find a new kind of freedom, not the freedom of escaping thoughts, but the freedom of transforming them into strength and clarity that moves you forward. Life will always bring people lessons and moments that touch us deeply, but not all of them are meant to stay. When you recognize who is only in your mind and not in your life, you give yourself the gift of clarity. Through awareness, discipline, and self-respect, you release the hold of the past and open space for growth, presence, and genuine connection. You reclaim your energy, embrace your worth, and transform distraction into focus, turning every challenge into a pathway towards self-mastery and inner peace. As you walk forward from here, may you trust your own strength, value your own presence, and welcome the possibilities waiting ahead with open hands.